and gentlemen, welcome to Talks with Todd.
Yeah, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Talks with Todd. I'm your host, V Todd. This is season 4, episode 7. Everything marriage related, y'all. Everything marriage related, and we about to have another great show. Listen, y'all seen his wife in here not a few episodes ago, okay? You saw Heather Mann. This time, I have Calvin Mann in the building.
What up, dog?
Representing Emmy. Encourage me, I'm young. Helping turning boys into men. Getting them together. Teaching them how to do things. Teaching them how to speak different languages. I mean, just showing them how to do different work to just be better out here in this field, out here in this world. Helping these young mothers that's single. These young men don't have anybody around. So you need to get with this man. If you having trouble with your boys, talk to him, inbox him, call him. Call up here. He'll give you the information. But today, I have Calvin Mann with me today to speak on why men are afraid of marriage. So we about to get in. We gonna get straight into it. Cal, how you been, man?
Oh man, I'm blessed, highly favored, glad to be just 2 steps away from broke and 5 steps away from being rich.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? But just glad to be in the building to share as much information as 40 years will allow.
Yes. Oh, and listen, y'all. Make sure you explain to the people how you became Dr. Calvin Mann before we dive into the topic.
After 40 years of work, I was recognized as for humanitarianism. And one of the things was that I was apprehensive about it, right? And I called a friend of mine, Dr. Jeffrey Johnson in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And I called him and, I started asking him all the questions, and he took me through why it was so important from my work and for me to accept it because of what I had done. And then he punched me in the gut and had me in tears by telling me that Mandela had 40 of them, 50.
Wow.
He said Mandela had 50 honorary doctorates.
Wow.
Of course, I'm not trying to line myself up with the work of Mandela.
Right.
But it was important for me to see the value of it.
Got you. I understand that. That's dope. That is really dope. And I'm glad you was able to do that with your wife. That's great that y'all worked together to a point where y'all both made that happen together. Like, that is crazy.
Well, you can't, she been at it just as long, right? Mm-hmm. And I met her in the path. And so learning all the, right?
Yeah.
My goal is to get her out of Detroit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't think she's appreciated enough for the things she's helped build and do and participate in, and the people she's helped. I don't think she's appreciated enough.
Gotcha.
In fact, I think a lot of times people have a tendency to take advantage of people's kindness and overlook the gifts of other people.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's important that, she does get her flowers and
Yep.
she is appreciated for who she is. And it's challenging when people who are kind have to turn to another level, another leaf, because here I come. You can see the hate. You know what I mean? You can see the use. You can see the people that turn their back. You can see, so you can see all that. But that comes with my gift. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't blame you for wanting to get her out the city, because unfortunately, man, it's a lot of hate in the city. And I was just talking about it on the morning show about how it's a lot of hometown hate. You'll receive that, and it's like, oh man, you have to get to a point where you feel like you have to get out of here in order to flourish.
Well, Jesus had to do the same, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
And so the process is that it's crowded, and then you got to remember, there's a book out there called Decolonizing Wealth. Mm-hmm. It's an important book to people who are involved in this work, right? And you see why people act like when they in a position, they act like a shiny new penny. That was one of the quotes in the book. Mm-hmm. That people get into a position and suddenly they're like a shiny new penny.
Right.
But in the other process is that the culture has to put itself in a better position in philanthropic work to ensure that our children, and that we're not just counting on a certain percentage, because that holds everybody in against each other.
Right.
So part of the hate, it's $1.50 that 9 people have to share. So that's part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we're going to jump into the topic. Why are men afraid of marriage?
Well, they should be.
Okay.
Right? Granted, today is different for them.
Yeah.
And just like before we came on, we were talking, it's the same thing for the boy. I personally, as I was sharing with some brothers, we were sitting at the table, we were sitting at a restaurant, I said, look around the restaurant. And as they were looking around the restaurant, I was like, notice the structure. Inside of the Coney Island, you can go to any Coney Island in America right now, especially in the city of Detroit, anywhere, you will see men.
Yeah.
Which means they're not really necessarily being taken care of. So which means also that it's not necessarily that we're valued as much, right?
Right.
That's not to say that some men are there and they are taken care of. What I'm saying is that if a boy is seeing more feminine, the boy is seeing a woman from the daycare to college.
Yeah.
In the home, in the process. So the boy gets to a certain point where once he steps outside of that, he might not want that. Right now, 63% of black males do not have children. Whereas society is say that, we have a lot of children, right?
Right.
But the foster care is full of them.
Yeah.
Right? The juvenile is full of them. Right? So when we look at those dynamics for men, and this is just all men, where are they winning at when a person can just get up and say, I'm tired, and walk out your life?
Right.
And when they walk out your life, they're taking everything. And then when they take the kid, it doesn't matter that they took the kid. What is the outcome of the child if you let's just look at it from a boy and girl perspective. As soon as you take that boy away from that male, he no longer has his species to help him.
Yep.
So then why would he want? I remember I was delivering, because, I print T-shirts for them. And I remember I was delivering some shirts for a family. And the mother came downstairs and said, my son, Calvin, you got to talk to my son. He don't want to be a father. And I was like, that's not good.
Right.
Right? I said, but the part of it is that when we do have good men, when we do have the process, we don't necessarily make it valuable for him. I just did a workshop this Saturday with women, explaining to them that men require foreplay too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And for some strange reason, we believe that that's not the case. We had this belief that the man doesn't want to be enticed anymore. We think it, like me and my man was talking about, why you think so many men go to the strip club?
Right.
What they going to the strip club for?
Exactly.
For some excitement.
Yep.
Why y'all think Priscilla's is open? They want you to put on some negligee, some excitement.
Yeah.
Right? But then you look on Instagram and she got on grandma's dress talking about this how grandma had all these babies. No, we graduated that.
Yeah, we did.
We graduated that. So essentially, men will ask what's really in it for them.
Right.
And so that's the number one thing that we are not taking a look at. We don't think that the man should have a say so. Right?
Yeah.
That's why they started the whole boy bye phenomenon. Mm-hmm. Right? How we talk to men now. So you're talking to the man and masculine energy just because you go to work.
Right.
And you get a check. Well, I carry the seed of life. And so for me, I swag that.
Right.
Which is what we've done, with fathers and men anyway.
Yes.
You
absolutely.
carry the seed.
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah.
So if you carry the seed of life, I'm the commodity. You see what I'm saying? So in that process, as a man, like we wasn't taught. Man, I don't even like to get it, but me and my brothers, We ain't never had a problem. I ain't never had a problem. I was on the ground when my wife called my phone with zero.
Right.
And a blanket. That's all I had.
Yeah.
I had just got a bed. You know what I mean?
I get it.
My license was in Hop.
Right.
When she called my phone.
Right.
And it was one right there.
Yeah.
We never had the issue. I never understood how men had these issues, but I understand because they didn't have men. So if you don't have quality men in a marital example, it's very difficult for a young man to say, based on him having a high level of feminine raising, it's very difficult for him to say, you know what, I want to marry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of men that I talk to today that say, you know what, I'm good on marriage because at the end of the day, I watched my father lose everything to my mom. I watched this person lose everything. And it's like, and they say the same thing, what's in it for us? It's like we get married and it really just turns out it's for the woman, not necessarily for us. We could truly love a woman unconditionally. And once she decides she's done or whatever the case may be, she taking half of everything that I worked hard for.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But me being an advocate, understanding that the culture has to have marriages.
Yeah.
There are women who have decided that enduring is worth it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? So out of mine, I got 20 before me and her got together. I was able to get 20. I view that as an accomplishment.
Yeah.
I was telling my daughter this the other day, I don't see 20 years as a negative.
Right.
Right. I view that as an accomplishment. But in the process, what happens is when a man, it's hard, and I always take it back here because you're supposed to shape the male, the man. You know, we say all these things about what a man's supposed to do. Well, a man he's supposed to build a house from ground up, right? He's supposed to go outside and rebuild the engine and start the car. And a man's supposed to, like, we have all these things that a man's supposed to do. Right? Yeah. But in the process, when a man has two parents, he's cultivated in unity. So he's cultivated in a we process. And that young lady, she's cultivated when they both have two parents. They're cultivated in that genre of marriage. Yeah. So it's in the making that we have more marriages. The problem is we have too many children outside of wedlock. And so it became what have you, the Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? And then how we raise males is completely different. Yeah. When I say about my boys, all my boys are husbands and fathers from the time I was 20 and being involved with males, all of them are husbands and fathers. Every last one of them.
That's dope.
Right? But I had a considerable amount of men. Like when I talk about men being in my life, it isn't the same for every male. Right. It's not. But I had married men. Right, so I had the Mr. Thornton, Sonny men. Yeah. Cecil Hall. I had Mr. Young. I had Mr. Thompson on the corner. My parents. I had my Uncle Don's and my Uncle Earl's, and I had my Uncle Truman's, and Yep. Then I had my cousins. Then I had my Uncle Robert. You see. And then I had my great Uncle Garnet, and I had my So I had males everywhere. Yeah. Even to the point where I had men in my life, even to the point when I started coaching. And Mr. Curry was married, gave me a whistle. So when I go through my life, it was married men.
All the time.
All the time who poured into me.
Yeah.
My principal, Mr. Daizaki, my middle school coach, Evan Lado, who just forwarded my new book, All Ingredients Count. Right? These men was everywhere in my life.
Got you.
Right? What happened to other people is where crack became a thing, disrespect became a thing too. Mm-hmm. So it became in the culture where we seen men on drugs and things like that, we begin to mistreat them.
Got you.
We didn't help them. My brother-in-law went on his, and with my sister, and went on his own brother turned him out. Wow. So when you talk about and what drugs have done to the culture, And then you throw in the racism and the hate on the policing side. We literally attacked and belittled and reduced black fatherhood, right? And we reduced fatherhood across the board to the point that the family court became $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
So in destroying homes, we gain more access. We had more kids into the juvenile system. And destroying homes, you had more kids into the foster care system. Right now, we have a number of cases where women are murdering children. In most cases of what do we call abuse and things like that. Men and women, high level women, 85%. When you get into domestic violence, who triggers, right? We put our hands on men, right? You beat him, put your hand on the wrong man. He come from emotional background. You turn him into something he wasn't.
Exactly.
So what happens is that once we remove, this is where the culture has really failed when it comes to marriage, we remove the value of the man. And so once we started getting checks and money and we started talking to men, ladies started talking to men like they ain't nothing, calling bums. But let's pause for a second there. When women didn't have no jobs back in the 50s and the 60s, men were taking them at zero cost.
Yep.
She didn't have to have nothing. Men were selecting, as it says, he who findeth a wife. We were selecting.
Right.
Now, what are we selecting?
Yeah, any and everything.
Because if she look a certain way, she might be a certain thing. She got a certain, and he look a certain way. And then men that are in the friend zone, right? Guess what? I was in the friend zone.
I was too.
So we was friends. But the old me, before we got together, if I was in the friend zone, I'm hitting you.
Yeah.
That's the old me.
Yeah, same here.
Right.
Same here.
Right. But then when you realize that that's not quality.
Right.
Right. The friendship part is the most important aspect to the relationship.
Absolutely. I think people lose that.
Yeah. So that's probably, in a roundabout way, that's some of the ways that the reason why men don't want to marry is because a lot of them have come from these emotional backgrounds and just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, that's real. Damon said women today are selfish and entitled, and ironically, it's because men made them feel that way. Fuck all the happy wife, happy life bullshit.
Well, yeah, men, because it was pay to play during the drugs. See, once we started getting money, the ugly dudes who was getting money, right, could pay for whatever.
Yeah.
And we talking ugly.
Yeah.
Right? So ugly dudes, right? And this is not a knock against anybody, but the truth of the matter is, when the field was fair, the ugly dude, he was being hid.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? The handsome dude, we had them all.
Yep.
They didn't have a problem. I show up with an afro, a pair of nice Snickers, plus I'm on the hoop court. Like, we had them all.
You're right.
Right? Even dark skin, light skin, hoopers, we had them all.
Yeah. If
you can't talk to, if you hoop.
Yeah. If you played sports, you was in there.
We had them all.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But everywhere we went, we had them.
Yep.
I mean, just being realistic. And then me, I could hoop and sing.
Oh, yeah.
I was killing them.
Yeah.
Right. So in the process, once the drug game and they started paying to play, right? Mm-hmm. They started buying and all of that. That's what turned this into a bunch of mess, because then you had a price.
Yep.
And so now when you look at the internet, where's her integrity? How many times do you see her integrity tied to a price? So transactional relationships don't last.
No, they never do.
And so that's what is hurting the marriage game. It's transactional. So yeah, I'm with you because one day you gonna be.
Yeah.
But we don't understand the makeup. There's a makeup of the person that is going to come out in that seed, in that child. So yeah, while you are dating old boy that's doing all this dirt, that's on his seed.
Exactly.
So then when you want to know what's wrong with your son, now that he gone, he can't govern the son because he locked up. What's wrong with my son?
Yeah.
Well, all that foolishness he had was on his seed is in your son.
Exactly.
And he's not there to govern his own seed. And then don't throw in the DNA testing. So we fighting to get the DNA testing at birth, because if we have that can cut into some of the foolishness of breaking and destroying up families. Because families and marriage is important. And just like you see polygamy is in, that's important.
Yeah.
I'm not one to hate on people who have polygamous relationships, because it's a if it's a healthy male,
right,
involved, and it's healthy people involved, that means the children are getting the nutrients that they deserve from a father, a healthy father, and that's just so important.
Yeah, and that's funny that you brought that up. I was going to ask you what were your thoughts on that. And so there was a book years ago I read. It was a brother out of Indiana. He was from Africa, and this was at the height of the AIDS epidemic. Okay. And the brother was at the Columbia University, and he met his wife, who was from here. And they got together. His wife is from Michigan. Okay. And they got together in Indiana. They put together a whole church, and they started solving the problems with AIDS in his town. Oh, nice.
Right? But one of the things they stopped was the polygamous behavior.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Because with the polygamous with that behavior, it just was multiplying.
Right.
So they stopped that in the community.
Got you.
Right? And they went to just single.
One man, one woman.
And it was able to cut it out.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, who's having children today?
Right.
Right? And so if you are having... in the United States before this whole thing, right? Because back in 2000, when Trump first ran, everybody was trying to have this conversation. And you know, white people love to use black people. These racist people love to use black people as the example, worrying about abortion. Yeah. White people have more abortions. Yeah. So they're using black people to really help stop saying that the abortion rate. But this is why you saw all those strict laws against if you have an abortion, because they were having. So when you go look at the numbers, they're black and white culture, you're not having enough babies. Although we do have thousands of them in the foster care. Right. But in marriages, we're not having healthy, productive production of babies made of love.
Got you.
So therefore, coming together and being in marriage is when you see everybody having these conversations, in my opinion, it's my opinion. Right. Men and women having the same conversation. Men ain't no good, women ain't no good. That's because that's what's in their code.
Exactly.
That's what's in their code. Marriage is not necessarily in their code. The idea of marriage is in the code. Yeah. But they're not necessarily, marriage is not in the code because we're fraternizing.
Yeah, we just lusting over each other.
Yeah, we out here 4 or 5, you know, I sent when I have been talking to them about women have to take themselves out of these 5 rooms. Right? You got to pull your feet. When you asking God to bless you and you want a husband, you have to pull yourself out of these 5 rooms. Yeah, definitely. The comedy room, the plumber room, the friend that makes me laugh, the dude with the long meat, you know, all of that. You got to pull yourself out of those rooms, right? Yeah. And allow God to bless you for who and what you really want, because a marriage is a sweet thing.
Yeah, it can be.
It is a sweet thing, and it produces, in my opinion, again, because of people going to contradict it, because it's out of their emotions, better children.
Yeah, you're right. Now, have you ever come across any men that were married at one point, it went south, and they like, I'm done, I don't want to do it no more? Yeah. And what? How did some of those stories go?
Ooh, I got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of them.
Just give me your top 2.
My man had a number of children. Mm-hmm. And he comes from a 2-parent household. And it has taken him up until last year. So we're talking 10, maybe 15 years to be serious. Wow. With somebody. Can't tell a story. Right, then there are some other men, right, who after they gone through, they focused on the child and their family and their contribution and accepted the behavior of them not having, their presence in the child. It usually affect men on the child side more.
Got you. Okay.
When men split up and divorce the whole nine, they kind of focus and place, and then they get their own little space and everything. This is why you see so many. They wrote an article. EMS worker wrote an article while he found so many black men dead days after.
Wow. After a divorce?
No, days after someone requested a security check.
Oh, got you.
Go check on them, right? Because I haven't heard from them.
Right.
And they was finding they find a lot of black men being alone.
Wow. And
so it was a big article in the Detroit News about it. And then so I wrote a piece on it, understanding that what happens is that once we lose, sometimes it's hard for us to get back up.
Yeah.
So it's a tough battle. I got a book that's kind of already written. I keep going through this but in there I talk about the spiritual tear. And the spiritual tear is very destructive because when me and you come together, we start processing and molding to become as one. Mm-hmm. Right? And in that process, as soon as we start jailing or whatever the case may be, part of that jail is the pushback of the connection. And so now when we ask to split up, and as soon as we split up, now that spiritual tear occurs. This is why the number 2 way for a man to die is suicide after divorce. So it's to be honest with you, is it a victory? Right?
Yeah.
Right? And so men have sized up. A lot of men now, I'll marry you, but we're not doing the paperwork.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot lately.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll marry you, but we're not signing that paperwork.
Yeah. I hear that a lot.
We'll go through the ceremony, the whole night.
Yep. I've been hearing a lot of that.
Yeah, but we're not signing that paperwork.
But the flip side of that is if something was to happen in case of emergency, and without signing that paperwork, you're not gonna be able to do anything after the fact.
Well, it's not necessarily true. You can write up an affidavit on everything.
That's true.
You can affidavit everything, right? This is the person I need to take care of this. You can affidavit.
Yeah.
Because paperwork is the same thing that lock you in. It's the same thing that set you out.
Right.
You know what I mean? The process of divorce is on paperwork.
Right.
So it's the same thing. I think for us as a culture, across the board, that we've allowed ourselves to be put into a position, of devaluement. Like we really, let's just look at what I'm asking you to do.
Right.
I'm asking you to marry me, and I want your last name. Okay, but really, my last name don't mean nothing to me. See? Mm-hmm. I'm more concerned about the financial aspects. So what's going to keep you, right? And then Murray tell you you're not the father. So it's a lot of that, right? Because think about this.
Yeah.
And this is true. How many times you heard a woman say women cheat better than men?
Too many times.
That's not really true.
Yeah.
A man knows. He just goes along because he don't want to destroy what he might have.
Right.
He might actually care about you, right? We got all kind of red flags.
Yeah.
I remember a story. This is a great story. A friend of mine, this was back in the day, and we used to be at the club or spot, right? He'd be all up in the female face, right? And so one day he gets a call. We in the house, he get a call. And I hear him upstairs. He come rumbling downstairs, pistol falling. Hey, man, what is you doing? Mm-hmm. He said, Cal, man, they just called and told me my wife up at the bar sitting on somebody's lap and all in their face. I say, hey, man, if you don't sit your monkey ass down.
Right. Exactly.
I ain't going with you.
Right.
I'm like, Cal, I said, listen, man, turn in that card. You can't call yourself a player concerned about somebody call your phone, boy, they probably going to set you up to knock you straight off.
Enjoy your turn.
Sit down.
I say it all the time, man.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Sit down. And so, it eventually they, went their separate ways, but sit down.
Right.
Like, you can't run out of here like that. You getting ready to make 1,000 mistakes.
And then you ain't going to have her anyway.
Or the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what we were able to, and it's like I said, it's a lot of them stories, man. Men don't talk about those stories because we have this facade.
And, and the trauma that come with the story.
Yeah. But okay, but a lot of us, let's be honest, a lot of men saw their mothers and sisters clown.
Exactly.
And if they admit that, they can then admit why they don't trust women. So we have a lot of little problems, right, that are severe. But when it comes to marriage, the good parts of marriage is economy. Our economy together, it could be a powerful economy.
Yep.
If we stay in this through the process, like my Aunt Gussie and my Uncle Robert. My Aunt Gussie's still alive. My Uncle Robert left tons for the great-grandkids.
Wow.
Right?
That's dope.
Like my Aunt Inez and my Uncle Leonard. Uncle Leonard died working at Ford. Left my Aunt Inez in a great position.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about marriage, you have to talk about a sense of locking out everybody.
Yeah.
You're 687% likely to divorce if you have a single person in your ear.
There you go. Yep.
If you're taking advice on your relationship from a single person, you're 687% likely to, especially if the single person have been divorced.
Yeah, that's true too.
And we have a tendency to take on a lot of information visually.
That's why I tell people all the time, like one of my homies, I told him, like, listen, I understand you going through a rough time while you going through this divorce, but stop telling everybody your business. Keep that in-house or talk to a therapist.
Yeah.
Because while you telling everybody stuff, you getting all this extra information and you don't even know which way to go.
Yeah.
You listening to, you taking advice from me, you taking advice from your other homie, you taking advice. You don't need all of these, you don't need all of that. Just first and foremost, focus on where your head is at with the whole thing.
My circle knew.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't call my brothers and sisters.
Got you.
Right? My circle.
Yeah.
The men, my circle. Tom, Raheem, Big Chris.
There you go.
My circle knew. And so because my circle knew, right, we knew how to, and between those three men, I was able to get back on my feet from zero. Mm-hmm. Because of those three men.
But those three men, they were married, right?
Two out of the three was married.
See what I'm saying?
The one that gave me the spot wasn't.
Right.
But had been married. I had helped him through marriages.
Got you. See?
So my circle was tight. Mm-hmm. And came through. You hear me? I'm talking about came through. And I'm talking about I was on ball.
Yeah.
Because when you ask God, remember this. When you ask God to change you, to move in your life, to help you, that you're going to listen to him, God is going to remove things that you got in the wrong, and he's going to replace it with the right. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for us to understand that. So when I said on this journey, mind you, I'm coming from a whole nother place. I got money. I got money in the house. I got 4 houses. And when I was reading the newspaper and saw these babies was in trouble, I said, God, use me.
Yeah.
And from those words, I hear his voice. From his voice come this movement. If it was up to me to own me, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a whole nother game.
Right.
And it ain't for the I'm talking I got 5, 6, 7, because that was my nickname, Talkamata. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But God showed me this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
So a man that gains purpose
Yep.
can solidify forever.
Definitely. Brittany said, it's not good for me to be alone. It's dangerous for men. And yeah, that's true. It can be dangerous for men, depending on where his mindset is at. And she also said, we're picking wrong. And that's another thing. A lot of guys are sitting up here focusing on what the woman looks like and all of that, just sexual favors. That's not the way to go. That's not how you pick a wife. You need to know who this woman is in the dark time. You need to know where her head is at when it comes down to finances. She might be financially illiterate. She might be horrible with money, and you just marrying off of she got a nice ass. You marrying because the sex is good. Those are not good reasons to get married.
But you don't have no other. That goes back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
What is your example? Because your mentors might have been players, and so players have a tendency to misguide you. When I got kicked out of college, the first thing I said was the stuff that the men told me I was never going to teach the young men. They would have to come and ask for advice. I was not teaching that.
Gotcha.
Right, and so I didn't teach that. Right, and it's funny because me and my brothers, we had a ritual for that. Oh, this your first time? Like, we had a ritual. And we would set it because we had, where we come from, we had plethora.
Right.
But in the process, it wasn't good.
Right.
And so then you're concerned about, in this society, a lot of men are concerned about their son with the spirit, with the gay stuff and all of that. But the truth of the matter is, if you're in the home, the best place for the father with his children is in the home.
Yeah.
As soon as we split, you have to parent completely different than you would if you were in the home. The best place for the children and the father and the mother is under the one roof. That is the best place. It is the best prescription. It's the best area to raise children. Healthy environments are as you know, people always talk about communication. How we have to communicate. Well, back to the selection process. She might not know how to communicate. She just might know how to put on this whole mask.
Right. That's true.
This is what I've been told. And toot that boy up and get you. And now that she got you, she got a whole nother diabolical plan. Yeah. Because that's on her code. But when, I was talking to a young man last night. Simple. He's 40. Not no kids. 2 degrees. Work, got his own house. Was driving as well for Lyft. So I asked him what was the holder. He said, man, I just didn't want to have no kids out here in this way. I said, so big fella, you know why it's tough for you to get the one that you're looking for? He said, why? I said, because they looking at LeBron James. They don't see the fathering because they haven't been raised in fathering. So you have to select a woman in your process who comes from a 2-parent household. You can't just select an ordinary woman. You got to find a woman that understands how to be to you, because big fella, they don't see you. Yeah. They don't see it. Now if you start paying, they all gonna see you. Right. But they don't really see what your real value is. A man who is 40, who's sitting on 2 degrees the whole night, his seed got something special on it. Right. And he cares.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So I told him, hey man, look at my cousin, she need a husband bad. And she come from 2 parents. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, look her up. And I showed him on Facebook, get at her. Yeah. Because she need a husband.
That's what's up. So you don't mind just going ahead and just hooking people up and nothing like that?
No. Just if it's a fit.
Right.
My niece just got engaged.
Okay.
Literally.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My family, the Manns, we getting married. There's no question about that. Like we Manns, McNeil, Morgans. If you look up the 3 M's, we getting married. The brother was in here the other day on the podcast talking about the township, and 2 of the guys from the township. That's 2 more men that I grew up that poured into me as I was coming up.
That's dope. That's dope. Heather said, we are expecting spiritual outcomes from physical circumstances, spiritual tools for spiritual outcomes. It's deeper than we think. Marriage is spiritual covenant, needs spiritual tools and mindset to work. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
You got to get it in.
Yeah.
And then because a lot of times we don't know who we are, right? That's another big thing.
Yes.
We don't know who we are because everything tells us who we are, right? Look at the medias. I mean, if you look around this room and all the things that's on the wall, it's busy.
Yeah.
So in the process is that the culture is trying to be seen and relevant at a level for economic show off.
Yeah.
In my opinion, right? When you had we sold all the drugs, they move on to Farmington, didn't drive these fancy cars into the city and show off, right?
Become a target.
Become a target, right? And we show off to the people, oh, I got my 3 wheels. I pull up, oh, you're in the 3-wheel club, the whole 9. Your light's blinking now. DTE is waiting to put the tag out there. Or in some cases, like I told my son, getting out your mama's basement is important.
Yeah.
It's important for you.
Yeah.
You're not going to know who you are until you go find you.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that's preventing the marriage, because we do so much deceitful things, too many deceitful things in how we do it. And then when it's time to settle down, I can't really settle down with you. How can I trust you? Right? Because I done did all these things. Now, I got one brother that ain't married. Right? He always promised, I'm going to get married. Hey, my man.
Clock is ticking.
No, you're not. What you mean? Man, you didn't did too much.
Right.
So you don't know how to even trust yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of brothers like that. I got a lot of brothers like that they don't even know how to trust themselves.
I got homies that won't get married because he was like, I seen how married women move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Because I was 18 and she was 40.
Wow. Damn. Okay.
That's a whole nother dynamic.
Yeah.
That you, like, when you talk about predatory and not being prosecuted. Yeah. We prosecute men for predatory ways. We don't prosecute women.
Yeah.
Very seldom do you see, like,
when you see the teacher and student relationship, that's when you see him get in trouble. But
very seldom. But in also in the case of even inside of women's sports, there are a lot of girls get raped inside of women's sports, but they don't. It's very seldom do you see them prosecuted. Like, you very seldom do you hear about that, because we, in our sick, sadistic mind, we feel like that the boy that is being molested or turned out, right? Just like the 41-year-old. I asked the question that with the young girl that's missing, right? That they locked him up. He's 41 or whatever. Somebody older than him had a child with him at 12 or 13.
Right.
Who raped him?
Exactly.
Who groomed him for him? Supposedly he got 20 kids.
Wow. That's nuts. Yeah. That's crazy. And nothing happened to this woman. Nothing.
When you get into the dynamic, we were fine. When my daddy left, we went to dry humping and everything. You know what I mean? When you don't have that father figure, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard because the environments the environments that men are growing up in and women and girls are growing up in are very deceptive. And it's hard when you say, okay, let's get married. Hey, yeah, let's get married. And the only thing she might be thinking about is the actual ceremony.
Right.
She don't have an understanding about the actual marriage. As I was saying in one conversation, Numbers 30 is in the Bible.
Yeah.
But Numbers 30 tell you about the vow. When you went to marital counsel, you didn't hear nothing about Numbers 30.
No.
Nothing. So the church was not even teaching you the importance of a vow. The pastors, this is what I was telling my brother. My brother pastor said, man, you need to add this. Because people need to understand what a vow is.
Right.
And how important it is once you take this vow, right, what it means to your life. Now, once you learn the information, it's how you apply it. But when you don't know the information, you think it's okay. You're talking about, man, I'm buck wild. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so we get married, and what happens is that as soon as you get married, there is more attraction to you. Men and women are more attracted to you because you are not in the fray. You're out here. And so when you have the mindset, it's easy for her or him, we jump in and out. But the irresponsibility part is you ain't wrapping up, strapping up.
Exactly.
And
you're moving carelessly.
You're moving carelessly. And so a child is born in this environment because it happened. Mm-hmm. It happened to me. My second son. It happened. Jumped out here, pretended all of this stuff. And, set it up beautifully. Mm-hmm. And when she got pregnant, I'm like, man, that ain't my kid because I've seen you everywhere.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I saw him. Then I almost caught a case. Then my mother and sister told me to stay out of it because I was about to catch a case. Then when we get to the table, he 18, he take the test, my son. But he had no raising of mine.
Right.
So the thing that I could do was loving. These are the things that is darn harmful to marriage and things like that. It's what we have done prior to the marriage that is harmful to marriage. And I think that's what's difficult in the process. When it comes to marriage, the people has to have the purpose and understanding of what the marriage really is in order for you to endure.
Yeah. Because
everybody is getting attention. You at work and, they talking about you got a work husband, a work wife, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You ain't got to have that.
No, you
Go
don't.
to work and come home.
Yep.
But as soon as you start paying attention to somebody giving you some attention other than the attention you're supposed to have, focus on what we got in here, you've opened the door. And a lot of times what happens when you open up doors, but I tell you, if you got your foot in 5 doors, you might open up the one door. And when you open up that door, up jump the devil.
Yep.
And now the devil is all in the middle of your and now you looking at the person like, yeah, I don't, but man, she really don't, and then so you hear a lot of married men. I done seen a lot of married men and women give the lie that they having problems at home and they ain't really having problems at home, but speak that on their marriage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'll do it. And I've seen dudes front like they're married. Because I guess they must have seen the attention that married men get.
Oh, we get it.
It was dudes that literally wear a ring.
Women do it too.
Yeah, they'll wear a ring just to get that attention. And I'm like, when I first heard it, I thought dude was weird. I'm like, yo, you fake married? Like,
yeah.
and then I saw it work for him. I was like, okay, now I see why you do it, but I wouldn't do it. But I see why you do it.
Women do it too.
And I was literally married at the time, like, to my first wife. So it was like, damn, people out here really faking, acting like they married.
Because it brings them attention.
Yeah.
Because the devil loves deceit.
Yeah.
And so deception is, the best way. The movies do it. The books do it.
Yes.
Them boys, them hot boys that's writing all them books and the women reading all them books and in the middle of the conversation, the boy is in there, he down low, all of this stuff, and the women are reading that. So deception is literally embedded.
Yep.
Into the fabric. So if you're a good man, right? Mm-hmm. But you not swagged out and all of that, but my coworker, he's got dreads and 6-pack anyway. And then you hear the dude that, they say the dude that ain't got no job, he can go all day, you know what I mean? Well, I like to think I'm pretty good, right? And in the process, I think that when you start making those decisions, it's on your code. So you have to understand why our children are in trouble.
Yep.
Because marriage for the culture is economics. If I bring your money in and we bring our money together, we can build wealth.
Yes.
Wealth is not built in single individuals, because how many, it said the Rockefellers.
Yeah. Yep.
So with us it's the man. So all my brothers and sisters, we all insurance policy, stock, like we be on the phone talking about stock and all of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not everybody's doing it. I'm talking to stock. My daughter got stock. My son got stock. You see what I'm saying? Because we're trying to make that work. But yes, men struggle with marriage. Women struggle with marriage. Men have become, I said in the conversation, in 3 minutes, well, 8 minutes, because you owe us 5, since we're having a good time. Right? But in the conversation I had at Greater Grace with the fathers was, isn't it funny that when you grow up as a young man, what did your mother do for you? You had lunches.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? You had food. Right? You had encouragement. You had clothes, right?
Yep.
Your mother made sure you had all these things. When you were growing up, your father, or your uncles or whoever were in your life, male figure, was telling you you're beautiful. Made you understand how he cared about you the whole night. Why, when we get in relationships, we don't do none of that shit?
People get too comfortable. And that comfortability,
I don't know if it's comfort. I think what happens is that we believe that we change the dynamic, Todd. Like, you're encouraging to your wife, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where you come from. You always wanted to express that. It's what you come from.
Yeah.
Right? Your wife is making you lunches and food and things like that, 'cause that's where she come from.
Right, yeah.
And then your wife is encouraging.
And she comes from a 2-parent household, so she saw it done. Yeah.
And she's encouraging.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so she's understanding and listening. That's what you were raised in.
Mm-hmm.
We don't look for that. And some of us were not raised in that.
Yeah.
So we think that when the woman run her head and raise her voice and all of that, that's mama. That's not mama.
Right.
Right? That's not a wife. A wife is caring, nurturing. She's listening. Right? Yeah. She snuggles up next to you. She exacerbates your masculinity. She makes sure that your masculinity is approved. Right? She might smack you on the butt sometime, right? She might flirt with you sometime. Mm-hmm. You know, you look handsome. Look at my back. She might do all that. That's the same thing you was raised in.
Yeah.
And what we call it is, I'm not about to mama him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a skill set that women had, that other women and other cultures is taking your man with.
Yeah.
It was a skill set that men had. The other men and other cultures is taking your women with, because they grew up in 2-parent households.
Yep.
And so you can't beat that. And so there's a pushback. There's a pushback for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you come from a single environment, it makes you feel a certain way. But if you tap into understanding that the reason why you feel that way is because you come from that environment, you can then change it. That's the one thing that we are capable to do as human beings.
That's been a lot of the issues I've had with my wife, because she came from a 2-parent household and I didn't. You know, so we've bumped heads a lot along the way until she showed me, like, look, this how it should go. You know what I'm saying? And I said, okay, cool. I get it. We still gonna have our differences. We still not gonna see eye to eye on certain things, but it's all about how we handle the problem.
Yeah.
So once we got that understanding, it was smooth.
And it's okay to say, you right, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with it.
It's okay to say, I'm sorry, baby.
Yeah.
I was wrong. Right? It's okay to say, man, that was a good idea, baby. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's okay to say these things. The thing is that because we grew up a certain way, we push back. I've had to let those things go. This is why God is in your life, to let some of those things go. You can be protective about the things you need and want, but some of those things you have to let go, because you have to trust that mate to care for you.
Yeah, definitely. Now, man, this was a great episode, man. I appreciate you coming on for real. What is something that you would say to somebody that's looking to get married but is also scared?
Where's your relationship with God? That's who you got to go to first. Every man should have a relationship with God. Allah, whoever you believe in, your higher power. Every man should have that relationship. That's who you got to go to first. And then the other part is understanding that you carry a vision for the family. And what does that vision look like? You need to understand where you got to go. And then you got to understand that the person that comes in, do they enhance the vision? So getting married is really shutting out the world and just focus on you and that person and making sure that y'all can move and navigate the village that you're in charge of.
Definitely. You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Calvin Mann, I appreciate you coming on, man. This was great.
Man, I'm glad I could assist.
Yes.
I was, I'm on fire right now, so I'm excited about a lot of things.
Good. I'm glad.
But if y'all gonna do anything, please go on my page, Calvin T. Mann. Hit that link because we got 100 boys on a waiting list to teach reading by fathers to these boys ages 3 to 7, and we need every dime that we can get.
Definitely. You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate everybody that's tapped in, everybody that was leaving comments. Thank you very much. Catch y'all next Wednesday. We out of here.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talks with Todd.